Currently, you're watching video E5.p1-15, which is what is a light year lab. Okay, as already discussed and as you've already seen, E5.p1c is our learning target for this activity, and it's to explain how a light year can be used as a measurement for a distance unit. So like you and I use feet, inches, centimeters, meters, whatever it might be for our distance, we're now going to use light year, how far light travels in 1 year, and figure out exactly how far that distance actually is. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to start by completing the procedures which are listed just below here. And while you're doing the procedures, you're going to be recording your data and calculations in the space that's provided for you. So let's go ahead and get started. Materials that you're going to be using for this lab, you've already received from Mr. Fuzak, from myself. And again, that would be a timing device and probably a calculator of your own or someone that we've provided for you. And then you're going to be using one or both of these objects, which are measuring devices used by people that are in track that throw, disc or shot put. So these will help you to measure distances, and we'll talk about these in a moment. So what you're going to do first is you're going to record the distance in which you can walk at a normal pace. So it's not a race. It's just if you're just out walking all by yourself, just a nice calm walk, and you're going to walk for 10 seconds. Okay, so that somebody, one of your partners, or maybe just yourself, will be timing it. And what you'll do is you'll start right at where the tape is on the floor, right next to Mr. Fuzak's door, or excuse me, right at the end of the hallway, just past Mr. Fuzak and Mr. Wandell's room, as you're headed towards the the west gym. So there'll be a piece of tape on the floor. That's where you'll start your walking, and then from that point on, we'll see how far you can physically walk in 10 seconds. So what you'll do is you're going to walk 3 times, trial 1, trial 2, and trial 3, and you will measure each of those 3. And these tape measures, as you can see right here, measure things in meters or up to 200 feet. So the reason why there are 2 of them is just in case that you walk farther than that in 10 seconds, then you'll have 2 to measure. My guess is in 10 seconds at a normal pace, none of you will reach the opposite wall, which is down by where the computer lab where Mrs. Fuzak used to be. But again, who knows? Maybe you will. But again, this is not a race. This is to be done at a normal pace. So once you've done those 3 trials, you'll then be asked to average out your distances by adding up those 3 and then dividing by 3 to get your average distance. You're then going to be asked to calculate speed. When asked to calculate speed, what you'll do is you'll take your distance in which you traveled, so that will be letter D, and you'll divide that by 10 seconds. And that will get you how fast you're actually going meters per second, so your speed. Then from here on out, you're going to be asked to perform different calculations to eventually make it so that your speed in which you're traveling, meters per second, is then turned into how far you would travel in a light year, how fast you're moving. So we're going to turn your distance that you have physically walked into a light year to see exactly how far you've traveled in a light year sense. So it's going to be a lot of math, a lot of calculations. Read the instructions very carefully for you to complete this lab. If you follow the instructions and you do what it says, you shouldn't have any problem completing this without needing to ask Mr. Fuzak or myself every single time, every different number, every different procedure step, how to calculate something. So more or less what you're going to do is after you've done your average time, you figured out your speed, you're going to be then converting your meters per second then into minutes, as you see here in step number 4, how far you travel per minute. You're going to then convert that into how far you travel in an hour, per day, per year, and then we're going to then take meters and turn it into kilometers, and then we're going to go figure out exactly how far light travels in a particular year. So this will be how far you're going to travel in that particular year, and then we're going to go look at how far light travels in a year, and then we're going to compare the 2 at the very end. And then you have one last question at the very end here, which is an application question. This is basically to figure out if you are able to actually figure out how many light years this new planet that somebody observed in year 2000, how far that planet is away from us. So This might be a challenge for you, but again, that's why it's called an application challenge, because we're going to ask you to actually put the calculation of a light year to work to show you exactly how scientists actually use that number to calculate distances in space. Okay, so there's your activity. What is a light year? Lab. And if you have any questions, let us know.